I am the false daughter of a noble family, a truth I have been aware of since my birth. At that time, I was too young to seek out my biological parents. The moment I laid eyes on the true daughter, I instinctively knew it was time for me to depart. Before I could lament the imminent conclusion of my humble existence, I made a startling discovery. The true daughter had been raised in none other than the palace of the current Grand Princess. Am I the daughter of the Grand Princess? It seems the true daughter is filled with regret. My sincerest apologies, but I must graciously decline. The family of the Prime Minister bears the surname Liu, and I am called Liu Dai. My biological father is said to be surnamed Chu, while the true daughter, known as Chu Jiao, resides in the Chu family. Now, each has returned to their respective places. The genuine daughter has reverted to the Liu family name, taking the name Yan Jiao. As for me, although I currently lack a definitive conclusion, I have an inkling that I will eventually be addressed as Chu Dai. Yet for now, I remain Liu Dai. At present, within the grand hall of the Prime Minister's residence, a deliberation unfolds regarding my future, whether to stay or depart. Father, mother, why not allow my sister to remain? The true daughter furrows her brow slightly, exuding an air of vulnerability. Her ruby lips, naturally tinted, and her almond-shaped eyes, glistening with unspilled tears, occasionally cough delicately, covering her mouth with a handkerchief, embodying the frailty of a willow swaying in the breeze. Clad in a short brocade jacket and layered skirt, adorned with jewels, her appearance aligns perfectly with the latest fashions of the capital. She bears no resemblance to a simple country girl. Rich young ladies and daughters of officials in the capital almost always possess several elegant outfits. The Prime Minister's wife, my mother, or rather, my adoptive mother, observes her coughing with great concern, eager to speak on my behalf. My dear daughter, how you have suffered. Is your health so poor due to mistreatment by that family? It pains me greatly. Liu Yanjiao lowers her eyelids slightly, concealing her emotions, and softly replies, Mother, I am quite well. However, my adoptive parents are farmers and cannot be compared to the Prime Minister's household or my sister. After speaking, she casts a significant glance in my direction. I find myself perplexed. Why do you involve me when Mother is addressing you? Liu Yanjiao bears a striking resemblance to her late uncle, and it is often said that a niece resembles her uncle, which holds true in her case as well. Her uncle was once renowned in the capital for his striking good looks, and thus, Liu Yanjiao's beauty is undeniable. Compared to her uncle, she possesses softer features, rendering her even more enchanting. This is precisely why when Liu Yanjiao first appeared before her, Lu Furen instantly recognized her as her true daughter. Without a single thought for me, the daughter she had raised for 16 years. Perhaps it is simply because Liu Yanjiao resembles her uncle, while I do not. Or perhaps it is because I lack the decorum expected of a young lady. Lu Furen glances between her biological daughter and her adopted daughter, her brows furrowing tightly. Where have you been wandering? Dressing so inappropriately day in and day out. Are you trying to drive your father and me to despair? Her tone, tinged with disappointment, causes Liu Yanjiao's expression to shift slightly, unnoticed by Lu Furen. Look at her. Today is a grand occasion for Jiao Er's return, and instead of welcoming her sister properly, she masquerades as a man and frolics about. Lu Chengxiang's demeanor grows cold. Rebellious girl. Do you not realize your fault? I feel indifferent, yet I quickly acknowledge my mistake, my voice devoid of emotion. Daughter acknowledges her wrongdoing. Lu Chengxiang is momentarily taken aback. Today, this rebellious daughter seems oddly peculiar. Is it due to Jiao Er's return? Clearing his throat, he continues, since Jiao Er has returned, you shall be sisters from now on. And as for Yan Jia, the three of you shall. Father, Liu Yanjiao interjects eagerly. When I returned, my family was asking when they could see me. I widen my eyes and directly inquire. Just a moment ago, my sister expressed a desire for me to stay. Now it seems she wishes for me to leave. If my presence troubles you, I shall take my leave. With that, I summon forth my finest acting skills from my past life, squeezing out a couple of tears. Who cannot act? After all, I have not wasted my time watching tragic dramas in my previous life. The moment I speak, the expressions of Lu Chengxiang and the others shift dramatically. Liu Yanjiao becomes flustered, attempting to respond, only to be interrupted by Lu Furen.
Liu Dai.
Even if you are unruly and unlearned, how can you speak thus of your sister? Jiao Er merely wishes for you to be reunited with your parents. I stare wide-eyed, taken aback by my adoptive mother's apparent lack of discernment. Yet, this suits my purpose perfectly. Dai Er, even if you are often mischievous, you must not speak ill of your sister today. Jiao Er has endured hardship living in a farmer's household since childhood. Unlike you, who has been sheltered and instructed daily, she has shown remarkable understanding and grace. You shall be living under the same roof. You must learn to coexist peacefully and never quarrel or bully Jiao Er. I cannot help but smile. Though Lu Yanjiao has said little, her words have been directed at me. How did this become my fault? Yet I remain silent, for it is not my place to speak, and Lu Furen is growing increasingly agitated. My lord.
Jouw is correct.
Lu Dai should return to visit her biological parents. After 16 years of living with us, Lu Dai has also formed bonds here. It is only right that she returns to see her family. Lu Chengxiang falls silent. On one side stands the adopted daughter he has nurtured for 16 years. And on the other, the biological daughter he owes much to. Reflecting on his adopted daughter's frivolous behavior and her outlandish attire, contrasted with the obedient demeanor of his biological daughter, the scales in Lu Chengxiang's heart suddenly tip. Very well, Dai Er, pack your belongings. You may return tomorrow to visit. He does not elaborate, yet I understand that return does not merely imply a brief visit. I fear this visit may lead to an indefinite departure. If it were anyone else, leaving the Prime Minister's residence would warrant tears and reluctance. However, I am different. As soon as Lu Chengxiang speaks, I readily agree, my enthusiasm startling. The three members of the Lu family regard me with a mix of astonishment. How is it that after 16 years, I appear so eager to leave the Prime Minister's residence? Lu Furen's brows furrow slightly, a hint of unease in her heart. She wishes to voice her thoughts, but upon seeing Lu Yanjiao beside her, her concerns are swiftly dispelled, her heart and mind filled solely with her biological daughter, whom she has not seen for 16 years. Lu Yanjiao, shedding her previously fragile demeanor, joyfully proclaims, "This is splendid. Father, mother, I shall keep you company. Sister, you can rest assured and return home to fulfill your filial duties." I scoff, thinking to myself that after merely entering the Prime Minister's residence for an hour, she is already referring to them as those two. This true daughter must have longed to escape that rural abode. I cannot help but wonder how my biological parents will react to this news. May they not be too heartbroken. That night, my younger brother, Lu Yanjia, returned from school. Upon learning that his twin sister, Lu Yanjiao, had returned, he displayed no inclination to celebrate. The Prime Minister's household is sparse, consisting of only the four of us, along with an elderly lady who remains in the Buddhist hall, engrossed in her prayers. Were it not for me, this would be a family reunion. After a long day of travel, traversing from the east to the west of the city and from the south to the north, I was famished, my stomach growling in protest. At the dining table, as I busily devoured my meal, Lu Yanjia continuously served me more dishes. In our shared focus on food, we remained oblivious to Lu Yanjiao's resentful and jealous glances. In truth, the dynamic between Lu Yanjia and me is quite normal within the Prime Minister's residence. Lu Qingxiang and his wife have always appreciated our sibling bond. However, the circumstances have now changed, for the rightful daughter has returned. Lu Yanjia's closeness to me now serves as a slight against Lu Yanjiao.
Liu Furen,
protective of her cherished daughter, would never allow anyone to mistreat her beloved child. Lu Yanjiao concealed her jealousy, adopting a mournful yet inexpressible expression. I truly envy the bond between my sister and brother. If only I had grown up alongside my brother, would we not share such a close relationship? Her gentle demeanor, imbued with wisdom, draws Lu Furen's pity, further fueling her discontent towards me and Lu Yanjia, especially towards me, the interloper in her family. However, it was Lu Yanjia who took the initiative to serve me more food and engage in conversation. Despite any dissatisfaction she might harbor toward me, she had no reason to vent her frustrations on my person. "Yanjia, this is your sister Yanjiao. In the days to come, she will reside with us. You must learn to coexist harmoniously with her. Do you understand?" Lu Yanjia's expression was placid as she replied, "I understand, elder sister."
with that,
She turned to Yanjiao and simply said, "Sister," before offering her a portion of food. Yanjiao's demeanor softened instantly, and she shot me a look that seemed to say, "See? After all, we are siblings." I chose not to dispute her, for I would soon be departing, and it was uncertain when I would next encounter Lu Yenjia. By then, the Lu and Chu families would be intertwined, and there were matters that needed to be clarified. After dinner, everyone returned to their respective quarters. Instead of going back to her own room, Lu Yenjia followed me. "Manage the family shop as I have taught you. There is no need for excessive involvement. In recent days, business has been thriving, but reducing the workforce must be prioritized, and you must ensure the workers are reassured. Do not neglect your studies. While pursuing scholarly achievements may not be your only path, acquiring knowledge is invariably beneficial. As for the future, rest assured that your father has plans laid out. You need only heed them selectively. Who knows if we will have the chance to meet again? I could have taught you slowly before, but once I am gone, you must rely on your own capabilities. Always leave a margin for flexibility." Lu Yenjiao. Older sister. "Are you truly leaving?" Lu Yenjia suddenly interrupted my thoughts, having remained silent until now. I glanced at her. She had returned, and it was time for me to go. "Is it not possible for me to stay?" I fastened my short cloak. Upon hearing this, Lu Yenjia's lips quivered, and tears welled in her eyes. "Oh, miss, do you not want me anymore?" I sighed in resignation. "Lianhua, you are a child of the Lu household. Without a contract of servitude from your mother, you cannot leave." After much coaxing, I finally managed to persuade her to reluctantly accept this reality. My belongings amounted to little more than a small bundle. After 16 years as the legitimate daughter of the Lu family, how could I not have some possessions? However, it was time for everything to be returned to its rightful place. I reached for my small package, but Lianhua stopped me. "Miss, let me see you off." Faced with her stubbornness, I acquiesced to her wishes. As we passed through the main hall, everyone was present except for the elderly matriarch Lu. Upon seeing me in women's attire, Yan Jiao's eyes glinted with jealousy, as she had dismissed my previous appearance in men's clothing. My beauty was well known in the capital, though it was often dismissed as superficial. This beauty bore no connection to the Lu Chancellor and his wife. Rather, it was a testament to the formidable genes of my biological parents. Lu Yanjia handed me a small pouch. "Elder sister, take this. It may serve you well in times of need." I smiled and accepted it graciously. Lu Chancellor sighed. "When you return, make sure to spend more time with your biological parents. There are provisions in the carriage for your journey." Lu Madam, observing my impending departure, felt a pang of reluctance and seemed poised to speak, but was preempted by Yan Jiao. "Sister, this journey may be a chance for you to temper your disposition. Life in the countryside differs from that in the city. Many tasks will require your direct involvement. Take care of yourself, and do not act as recklessly as you did in the Lu household, lest you worry our mother." Upon hearing Lu Madam agree with Yan Jiao's sentiments, I noted the change in Yan Jiao's expression to one of dismay at the prospect of my return. Time was of the essence, as the village lay a distance from the city, and I needed to depart promptly. The veiled barbs in her words and her exaggerated demeanor made me suspect she was not concerned about my well-being, but rather feared I might usurp her position as the Lu family's cherished daughter. Even Lianhua rolled her eyes at Yan Jiao's remarks, and Lu Yanjia also disapproved of her behavior. Yet, Lu Madam mistook Yan Jiao's words as genuine concern for me. "Since time is of the essence, you should set off without delay. Do not waste time on frivolities." I had no objections and responded with a proper yes. The family, along with Lianhua, escorted me out of the estate, where a carriage awaited at the entrance. With teary eyes, Lianhua saw me off as I boarded the carriage. The moment the curtain fell, I felt an overwhelming sense of liberation. Sprawled inside, exhausted from the previous day's activities and an early rise, I soon drifted into slumber. Upon awakening, I realized the carriage had already entered the village, and I was on the brink of meeting my long-lost biological parents. "Coachman, halt the carriage. Miss Chu, we've arrived," came the response from the coachman. I chuckled softly as I descended from the carriage. 2 drivers had accompanied me. One awaited my exit while the other retrieved my belongings. In less than a quarter of an hour, both myself and my possessions had been unceremoniously deposited outside a dilapidated courtyard. By the time I regained my senses, the carriage had long since vanished. Retrieving my gaze, I bent down to collect my luggage and stepped into this unfamiliar place. The courtyard, though aged, was surprisingly neat. The ground was paved with stones, and in one corner, small plots had been sectioned off with stones, where seasonal vegetables were cultivated. A clothesline displayed several garments, likely belonging to Yan Jiao. The courtyard comprised 3 rooms, a main hall, a kitchen, and my own chamber. Observing the kitchen's eaves adorned with smoked meats and dried sausages, I was taken aback. "Is this the little miss?" A voice called from behind. Turning around, I saw an elderly woman, seemingly over 50, standing at the entrance of the courtyard. I did not recognize her, yet she appeared to know me. It was evident she was the Aunt Chu that Yan Jiao had mentioned. According to Yan Jiao's descriptions, the Chu family was small in number, with Chu's parents frequently away, resulting in infrequent family gatherings. Only she and Aunt Chu remained, living in stark poverty. However, I was puzzled as to why she referred to me as Little Miss. Shouldn't I be addressing her as Aunt Chu rather than her using my title, Little Miss? Isn't that a term reserved for the daughters of grand families? My thoughts raced as I contemplated this, though my face remained impassive. Despite her inexplicable excitement, I nodded and greeted her. "Aunt Chu, I have returned." Aunt Chu hurried forward to take my bundle. "After 16 years, you have finally returned. Little Miss, you have endured much hardship." Her eyes gleamed with emotion as she gazed at me, as if she could never tire of the sight. Once inside, and having set my belongings down, Aunt Chu marveled. "You truly resemble her. It is uncanny." Curious, I inquired, "Resemble whom?"
Your father," she replied.
"You are the spitting image of him, save for your eyes, which resemble your mother's. Both are phoenix eyes, and your mother has a beauty mark." A sudden jolt coursed through me as I became acutely aware of my own appearance. Unlike my mother, I bore a striking resemblance to my father. But what manner of celestial being was he? My curiosity was piqued. "Are my parents not home?" I instinctively called out. Aunt Chu, too, recognized this and felt a swell of joy. It seemed that the young lady and the young master shared no estrangement. "The young lady and young master, your parents, have been away on a journey for some time now, but they shall return in a little over a month. When that time comes, your family of 7 will be truly reunited." I inhaled sharply. 7? I had never heard a whisper of this from Lu Yanjiao. Could it be that she was unaware of the circumstances of the Chu family? Sensing my astonishment, Aunt Chu merely smiled and elaborated on the situation of the Chu household. It turned out that aside from me, my parents had 4 other children, 3 sons and 1 daughter. My eldest brother was a teacher, though he resided far from the capital, in a rather distant place. My second sister was as strong as an ox and had secured a position as a laborer in the neighboring Linqing prefecture. My third brother, having suffered from poor health since childhood, had been taken in by a wandering physician who cured him, and he was now a doctor. As for my fourth brother, he had an early penchant for devising ways to make money, yet due to lack of success, he had not returned for many years. My eldest brother and sister were fraternal twins, while my third and fourth brothers were identical twins. I, on the other hand, was the youngest in the family. Aunt Chu mentioned that perhaps Lu Yanjiao was not closely bonded with the family because she was not a biological child of the Chus. Furthermore, a venerable monk had once suggested that she should be raised in a farming household to ensure her healthy growth and eventual return to her rightful place, which my parents believed to be the reason for her emotional distance. Yet, unbeknownst to anyone, the monk's intention was not merely her healthy development, but rather her rightful restoration. I speculated that perhaps the monk was aware of the mix-up regarding the children of both families. The revelations regarding Lu Yanjiao and myself truly astonished me. After this moment of surprise, life settled back into a tranquil rhythm. The vegetable garden in the courtyard was tended by Aunt Chu, and there was a well outside the kitchen, providing convenient access to water without the need to compete with the villagers. I had not had to concern myself with food and drink. Aunt Chu always managed to prepare meals punctually. I had been back for several days, yet I had not seen a single visitor. Did not the villagers enjoy visiting one another? After living in the residence of the minister for 16 years, I was not bound by its constraints, but I was still a lady of a prestigious family, and my understanding of many matters was rather limited. After spending a few days in the village, coupled with the hints Aunt Chu had dropped, I arrived at an astonishing conclusion. This village, no, it was more accurate to call it an estate, belonged to the Chu family, and its inhabitants were not merely villagers, but tenants of the Chu estate. According to Aunt Chu and the villagers, The territory of the Chu family extended for hundreds of miles. From the wooded hills in the back to the stream leading into the village, and even the 100 acres of farmland beyond the stream, all belonged to the Chus. Gazing at the wheat seedlings blanketed in frost and snow, I found myself lost in contemplation. What exactly did this estate signify? The fields that accompanied Lady Lu's dowry, along with the private property of the Lu family, did not even amount to a fifth of the size of this estate. Aunt Chu's words implied that this was merely a place for the young lady's recuperation, and the true Chu family resided elsewhere. Could a family possessing such a vast estate truly be an ordinary farming household? Did Lu Yenjiao, then, truly remain oblivious to what she had forsaken? I found myself amused, as I had unwittingly stepped into an even grander household after leaving the minister's residence. Time languidly passed, and nearly a month slipped by as the new year approached, bringing with it increasingly frigid weather. However, I had no cause for concern. Aunt Chu ensured I was well taken care of. The heated Kong and the warm charcoal basins rendered the room delightfully cozy. She prepared a variety of meals 3 times a day, and I suspected I had gained several pounds. I inquired of Aunt Chu regarding the return of my parents, but she too was uncertain. Nevertheless, as the new year drew near, she began to procure supplies for the festivities. In her words, even if the young lady and young master do not return, we must still celebrate the new year, mustn't we? I nodded in agreement, endorsing her sentiment. The new year, after all, was the most significant of all festivals. During my time in the minister's residence, I was not idle nor unaccomplished. Coupled with my experiences from my previous life, activities such as cutting window flowers, crafting paper lanterns, and writing couplets came easily to me. Initially, Aunt Chu had discouraged me from engaging in these tasks, but eventually, my creations won her over, and we joyfully set about decorating together. On New Year's Eve, as I assisted Aunt Chu in preparing the festive dinner, it was just the two of us. Adhering to the principle of waste not, want not, we prepared only a modest amount of food sufficient for our needs. However, shortly after noon, I unexpectedly encountered my long-lost biological parents and my siblings. Aunt Chu was overjoyed, constantly uttering auspicious words. I too felt a surge of happiness. For the moment I laid eyes on them, I sensed the intimate bond that blood ties could bring. The warmth of genuine affection blossomed within me, a sensation I had never experienced during my 16 years in the minister's residence. It was indeed wondrous. As Aunt Chu had remarked, I bore a striking resemblance to my father, and I was utterly captivated upon seeing him for the first time. Tall and poised, with raven hair elegantly styled, he exuded an air of grace and charm. My mother was also a beauty. Unlike the conventional beauties of the capital, her every smile and frown radiated elegance and nobility, coupled with a carefree allure. Her keen phoenix eyes were piercingly sharp, as if they could see through all things, yet the tear mole beneath her eye tempered their intensity, creating a harmonious balance. Even my siblings were exceptional, each possessing an extraordinary presence. My eldest brother was refined, my second sister spirited, my third brother serene, and as for my fourth brother, perhaps a nouveau riche? I found myself questioning his lineage, though his visage bore a striking resemblance to my mother. Poor Dai, how I lamented for you. My mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears. My father, unusually gentle, simply remarked, "It is good to be home." My siblings regarded me with curiosity. We have not seen our little sister since her birth. Even the one who was mistakenly taken, we have only glimpsed once or twice. But I think our little sister is quite beautiful, said my second sister. Unlike those rigidly conventional women, she was refreshingly straightforward, playfully ruffling my hair without a hint of formality. Yet, I could feel the strength in her hand, a stark contrast to my own soft, sheltered upbringing. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but more so a sense of perplexity. Of course, she is beautiful. She resembles our father closely. How could she not be? I had heard that my mother had faced numerous trials to wed my father. You misheard, third brother. I distinctly heard that it was love at first sight for father. He would marry no one but mother. I looked at my siblings in astonishment, each of them exuding grace and charm, yet they were all so delightfully gossipy. Especially my eldest brother, Chu Jun, who, despite being a scholar, possessed a heart full of curiosity. My parents were not vexed by their chatter. Instead, they smiled and said, "All right, stop standing around. Go help your sister tidy up. We are finally home for the new year. I feigned compliance, allowing them to direct my actions. It was only when my siblings were loading their things onto the carriage that I noticed a multitude of carriages parked at the courtyard entrance, accompanied by several uniformed servants. The lead carriage was particularly splendid. Not only was it grand in size, but it was also drawn by 4 horses side by side. The intricate carvings adorning the carriage were exquisite. The subsequent carriages, though smaller, were equally magnificent. The narrow village path seemed even more constricted as the carriages lined up. My parents boarded the foremost carriage, while my second sister, Chu Yen, and I climbed into the second carriage, and my brothers took the third. Before long, the carriages came to a halt. "Let us go. We have arrived home," my second sister exclaimed joyfully. I nodded, following her as we disembarked. The sight that greeted me left me astonished. The estate before me was resplendent beyond compare, with a pair of stone lions, one male and one female, standing majestically at the foot of the stairs. Ascending the steps, 4 resplendent crimson pillars, intricately carved, stand majestically, while the 2 gates, painted in the same hue, are adorned with gilded beast head knockers. The very steps themselves are paved with specially crafted marble slabs. In a single word, it exudes opulence. Yet, what astonishes me more than its lavishness is the plaque positioned above the vermilion doors. It is known far and wide throughout the capital, and I have heard tales of its illustrious owner on more than one occasion, the residence of the Grand Princess. It is common knowledge that the current sovereign, in his prime, governs with diligence, bringing peace to the realm and ensuring the prosperity of his subjects. However, such tranquility has only graced the land for a mere 20 years. 2 decades prior, chaos reigned, and smoke from conflict arose. At that time, the emperor had not yet reached his youth, yet he ascended the throne, shouldering the immense burden of the empire. To bolster troop morale, he took to the front lines himself, accompanied even by the Empress Dowager. Hailing from a family of military generals, she possessed an indomitable spirit, proving herself on the battlefield with ease. Yet, amidst the tumultuous court, besieged from within and without, it was the last scion of the carefree king, Shang Yan, who led the elite forces of the carefree king's residence, confronting 30,000 enemy soldiers with a mere 5,000 of his own. With valor and grace, Shang Yan, armed with a spear, charged into the fray, rescuing both the emperor and the Empress Dowager from peril, breaking the siege of the kingdom of Li. With the morale of the Li soldiers soaring, he advanced relentlessly, vanquishing foes with ease and reclaiming lost territory, thereby restoring peace to the realm and securing stability for the sovereign. As the nation stabilized, and the people faced hardship, it was Shang Yan's husband who opened the gates of their residence, donating clothing and goods, depleting their wealth to grant the court a much-needed respite. The Empress Dowager, overjoyed, recognized Shang Yan as her adopted daughter. In gratitude for the couple's contributions, the emperor bestowed upon Shang Yan the title of Princess of National Stabilization, granting her the Grand Princess's residence while preserving the title of the carefree king for her husband. Given that the emperor had no sisters, the decree to ennoble a Grand Princess raised eyebrows throughout the court. The title of National Stabilization was a testament to Shang Yan's achievements and the trust placed in her. Unfaltering, Shang Yan, alongside her husband Chu Yuan and their children, continued to wage war for several years, ultimately doubling the territory of the kingdom of Li. Subsequently, Shang Yan relinquished military authority and, with Chu Yuan and their frail third son, Chu Liang, sought skilled physicians, returning to the capital 2 years later with my birth. However, no amount of planning could have foreseen the 16 years of mistaken identity between me and Liu Yanjiao. The Grand Princess's residence stands tall in the most affluent district of the capital. Despite Shang Yan's prolonged absences, tales of her grandeur have never ceased. When her name is mentioned, anyone can recount her exploits at length. Beyond her monumental achievements, what captivates the hearts of women are the unparalleled looks of Shang Yan and her husband, eliciting envy and admiration in equal measure. From a young age, I harbored an aversion to remaining within the confines of the residence, often roaming the bustling streets of the capital. Though I had never met the Grand Princess, I was well acquainted with her name. Never did I imagine that one day I would be her child. In a daze, I found myself being led through the grand entrance. Aunt Chu was diligently managing the affairs of the residence. My parents guided me to a courtyard. Dai, This is the courtyard your mother prepared for you. She began arranging it even before your birth. Due to various circumstances, you are only moving in now. Take a look and see if you like it. If not, tell your mother, and she will prepare another for you." Mother expressed her apologies, fearing her actions might displease her little daughter. As she had discreetly inquired about my preferences while I resided in the residence of the Liu family, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. I had never felt a sense of belonging within the Liu household. It was not solely because Liu Qingxiang and his wife were not my biological parents, but also because I felt out of place in this era. While I could distance myself from the Liu residence, escaping this era proved far more challenging. My biological mother Shengyan's demeanor, along with the attitudes of my other relatives, made me contemplate whether having a connection in this era might not be so undesirable after all. Suppressing my emotions, I extended my arms to embrace Shengyan. "Mother, you have done nothing wrong. You have done splendidly. I am not upset. I truly like it. As for my preferences, we have many years ahead to learn about each other as a family." I sensed Shengyan's body stiffen momentarily. Such an intimate gesture, rarely seen even among parents and children, undoubtedly eased the tension in the room. Chu Yuan gently patted Shengyan's shoulder, his expression warm as he said, "Let Dai tidy up. Soon we will have our family reunion dinner." On the eve of the new year, a time for family joy and togetherness, spirits were high, and many had indulged in wine. My tolerance for alcohol was decent, yet I found myself slightly tipsy. The flickering candlelight cast shadows on every face in the room. In that dreamy haze, I seemed to finally discern the face I had never truly seen in my dreams over the years. It was Shengyan, my biological mother, the first person I had gazed upon when I opened my eyes in infancy. A genuine smile spread across my face. How wonderful it felt. The aftermath of my indulgence was far from pleasant, my head heavy and muddled. A maid knocked and entered, bringing soup. The lady said that the fifth young miss has awakened. "Drink this soup. It is very effective for alleviating the discomfort of a hangover." I nodded, accepting the bowl and drinking it all in one go. After handing the bowl back to the maid, I casually inquired, "What is your name?" The maid replied, "In response to the young miss, I am called Fu Rong, the personal maid assigned to you by the lady. There are also 2 first-class maids for second-class maids, and 8 cleaning maids in the courtyard. They will all come to pay their respects once you are up."
I said to myself, Furong, Furong.
Akin to a lotus flower. I wonder how that girl Lian has fared during this time? Perhaps I can ask mother to bring her over when the opportunity arises. While I pondered, I allowed Fu Rong to assist me with changing and washing up. Outside the door, a maid carried clothing for me to choose from. A quick glance revealed an array of intricate and refined garments. After much deliberation, I selected a relatively simple outfit. However, once Fu Rong had dressed me, I realized the attire was anything but understated. The light yellow short jacket, paired with a dark blue pleated skirt, was embroidered with red and gold thread depicting feathers, while clusters of begonia blossoms flourished at the hem of the skirt. The collar, sleeves, and edges of the short jacket were trimmed with vibrant red fox fur, exuding an air of opulence. Even the hairpins and jewelry were crafted from blood jade, including bracelets, ornaments, and an entire set of headpieces, all originating from the same piece of jade, whiter with a hint of red, striking a balance between ostentation and subtlety. I contemplated changing again, but Fu Rong dissuaded me. "What you are wearing is already quite modest. If you were to dress any more simply, it might be deemed inappropriate for your visit to the palace to meet His Majesty and the Empress Dowager." I was taken aback, then recalled that my mother was a grand princess, and indeed, it was customary to pay respects during the New Year. Had it not been for my presence, they might have spent the New Year's Eve vigil in the palace. I acquiesced, preparing to leave. Fu Rong promptly draped a grand cloak over my shoulders. I couldn't help but twitch my lips, finally understanding the origin of the feathers on my attire. The vibrant red cloak was adorned with golden thread, embroidered from top to bottom with a lifelike phoenix, poised as if ready to take flight. The phoenix, a symbol of auspiciousness for the kingdom of Li, being so intricately depicted on the cloak, attested to the grandeur of the Grand Princess's residence. I marveled at the immense stature it represented. As everyone completed their preparations, we set off for the palace. As soon as I arrived at the front courtyard, my mother and the others were also dressed splendidly, though their attire paled in comparison to mine. How should I put it? While others relied on clothing to adorn themselves, they were adorned by their stunning looks. Without losing their luster, they drew attention solely due to their extraordinary beauty. The carriage from the Grand Princess's residence glided smoothly through the streets, heading directly to the palace gates. The dust raised by the carriage had already spread throughout the capital by the previous day. The Grand Princess, Sheng Yan, has returned. The Grand Princess's children have also returned. In an instant, the noble families of the capital began preparing various celebrations. If I could establish a familial connection with Sheng Yan, even our ancestors would awaken with laughter. My parents took us directly to the Fusho Palace. Last night was New Year's Eve, when all the officials entered the palace to keep vigil. It was only on the first day of the new year that everyone gathered in the Empress Dowager's Fusho Palace. By the time we arrived, the palace was already bustling with activity. We were rather late. My mother had already conveyed my situation to the palace, so when I met the noble ladies, I felt no discomfort. At least it was far better than my previous visits to the palace for banquets. After spending a day in the palace, when it was time to leave, the Empress Dowager and the ladies of the harem bestowed upon me numerous gifts. After 3 consecutive days in the palace, the gates of the Grand Princess's residence remained tightly shut, leaving only our family to reunite within the estate. My mother spoke of the many invitation cards she had recently received, lamenting over which houses to visit. There were simply too many. It would take more than half a month to attend them all. My 4th brother suggested that instead of visiting every household, we could host our own gathering, inviting everyone who had sent invitations, as well as those who hadn't tea. This would not only resolve my mother's dilemma but also provide an opportunity for my elder brother and sister to meet potential matches and, most importantly, announce my existence. Everyone else deemed this a splendid idea and began offering suggestions. Only I felt a twinge of unease. I had seen those invitations, and half of them were from individuals with whom I had unresolved grievances. While there were some who were friendly, they were few and far between. My mother, aware of my thoughts, waved her hand dismissively. Let alone the title of Grand Princess. As for me, Sheng Yan has never feared anyone. You are my daughter. As precious as the princesses of the palace, why should you worry about them? What your mother says is true, the usually taciturn Chu Yuan chimed in. My daughter. Even those princesses pale in comparison. Chu Yan's expression turned icy. If anyone dares to bully you, I shall throw them into the army to experience it firsthand. My elder brother Chu Jun frowned. It seems the assignments are too simple, allowing them the leisure to bully others. My 3rd brother Chu Liang said nonchalantly, if there is someone you dislike, just tell me, and I'll ensure they can't speak again. My 4th brother Chu Qiong, displaying a typical dandy demeanor, joked, let me give you some gold. You can use it to crush them. I remained silent, realizing that it was my sisters and brothers who were bullying others, not the other way around. However, I ultimately chose not to voice my thoughts, for I was more curious about my siblings' identities. My father's standing is formidable and enigmatic. Otherwise, he could not have single-handedly supported the entire court in the past. Upon my inquiries, I learned what my siblings did. According to Aunt Chu, my elder brother, who teaches, is a disciple of the principal of the Qinglian Academy, the most coveted institution among scholars in the realm. The students nurtured there either become eminent scholars or pillars of the court. Those admitted to the academy are all remarkable individuals, not to mention the principal's apprentices. My 2nd sister, working as an officer, had actually joined the army 3 years ago from Lingqing Prefecture and had been stationed at the front lines. In just 3 years, she rose from a lowly soldier to the rank of deputy general and had returned to the capital upon receiving an imperial summons. My 3rd brother, who was frail in his youth, was taken by my mother to the Divine Doctor Valley for treatment. After regaining his health, he became the close disciple of the Valley's master. Following the master's passing 6 months ago, he was appointed the new head of the Divine Doctor Valley. My 4th brother, a businessman, traversed the land, enduring hardships, and is now the proprietor of the Sihai Chamber of Commerce. The Sihai Chamber is not only widespread across various provinces of Li country, but also has branches in neighboring nations. In matters of livelihood, from food to clothing, if you can think of it, the Sihai Chamber is involved. As I pondered this, I felt numb. The members of the Grand Princess's residence were all exceptional individuals. In other families, having even one person of such caliber is remarkable, yet my family boasts a collection of them. The banquet is scheduled for the day after the Lantern Festival, ostensibly in honor of the fifth Miss, Chu Dai. Everyone knows there is a fifth Miss in the Grand Princess's residence, raised in the countryside since childhood, but few know her name. With her return, it is essential to establish connections. However, the atmosphere in the Xiang residence is not as pleasant. The couple, the Minister Liu and his wife, harbor complex feelings, as their adopted daughter of 16 years turns out to be the daughter of the Grand Princess's residence. Liu Yanjia is more surprised. If I reside in the capital for an extended period, he will have the opportunity to see me frequently. As for Liu Yanjiao, she feels as though lightning has struck her. She is painfully aware of what she has missed. Liu Yanjiao's resentment deepens. Why was she oblivious to this for 16 years while in the Chu family? Had she not been returned? Would she not now be the cherished fifth miss of the Grand Princess's residence? How could the Xiang residence compare to the glory of the Grand Princess's household? The mere thought of possibly entering the Grand Princess's residence fills her with renewed hope. She resolves to reclaim her rightful place at the banquet. On the day of the feast, the residence is resplendent, the gates wide open, as Aunt Chu and others greet guests at the entrance. Carriages for the banquet stretch from one end of the alley to the other, and even those moving slowly express no complaints, except for Liu Yanjiao, who wears an impatient expression. After a long wait to disembark, Liu Yanjiao excitedly approaches Aunt Chu.
Aunt Chu.
Yet, Aunt Chu responds coolly, maintaining a polite distance. Minister Liu, Madam Liu, Miss Liu, and young Master Liu, please enter. Liu Yanjiao's expression instantly sours, her disbelief evident as she gazes at Aunt Chu. However, with others behind her, she can only grit her teeth and proceed inside. I am oblivious to the happenings at the entrance, having risen early today. Last night, I attended the lantern viewing in the palace and returned late. My mother instructed that I need not make an appearance in the morning and should join the banquet at noon instead. I nodded. My mother's arrangements were undoubtedly correct. However, before the banquet could commence, a commotion erupted outside. I intended to send Furong to check, only to find Aunt Chu arriving. What is happening? Aunt Chu's expression was tense as she simply stated, the banquet is about to begin. The madam requests that the fifth miss proceed to the feast. I responded thoughtfully, with a simple, all right. I allowed Furong to drape the vermilion phoenix cloak I had worn on the first day over my shoulders before heading out to the banquet. The Grand Princess's residence is particularly lively today. The maids and servants are bustling about. Occasionally, I catch glimpses of individuals who do not belong to the household moving about. The banquet is set in a small garden within the Grand Princess's residence. Though the festivities have ended, a chill still lingers in the air. This small garden is the only suitable venue for such a grand gathering. Inside, flowers bloom vibrantly, radiating warmth. It is said to be a birthday gift from my father to my mother. I did not use the main entrance but opted for a small side door, which we usually utilize for convenience since the main gate is rarely opened. Exiting through the small door leads directly to the main seating area. Just as I was about to step out, I heard a familiar voice. Long live the Grand Princess. This is Jiao. You must remember her, right? It was the voice of my foster mother, Madam Liu. It seemed Liu Yanjiao did not appreciate her words, as she quickly interjected. It has been a year since we last met. Mother, you are still as beautiful as a flower. Through a small gap, I caught a glimpse of Liu Yanjiao's sycophantic demeanor, Madame Liu's shock, and my mother's half-smiling expression. I could surmise their emotions. Liu Yanjiao, believing that the Xiang residence's young ladies were precious, might have wished to leave the Chu family as quickly as possible, only to later realize that the Chu family was even more affluent than the Xiang residence, prompting her to covet the Chu family's advantages. Madame Liu, gazing at her obedient and understanding daughter, felt as if she were witnessing a stranger. Meanwhile, my mother likely grew weary of the duo. Having thoroughly investigated how I had left the Xiang residence, I smiled faintly, lifting the heavy curtain and stepping inside. Mother! I gracefully approached my mother, performing the royal protocol I had learned in the palace over the past half-month. Your daughter pays her respects. My movements were proper, and coupled with my beauty and splendid attire, my entrance silenced the gathering. My mother, beaming with joy, exclaimed, quickly rise, Dai. We are family. There is no need for such formalities. I spoke with a sense of understanding. The birth of a daughter is of utmost importance. And recently, I have learned many customs from Li Hua's mother. Mother, how do you find Dai's progress? Upon hearing this, Chu's mother smiled even more broadly. She learns splendidly. In just half a month, such remarkable accomplishments. Truly worthy of being my Xingyan's beloved daughter. With Chu's mother's joy, my own spirit soared. Yet it was evident that not everyone shared in our delight. Lu Yanjiao's face was as sour as if she had swallowed a fly. And Lu's mother appeared awkward and at a loss. In the mere half-month since my return to the Chu family, such a significant change had unfolded, while Lu Yanjiao, who had resided in the Chu household for 16 years, was left appearing vain and covetous. The term beloved daughter had effectively trampled Lu Yanjiao into the mud. After nurturing her for 16 years, what did it matter? Was she not still outshone by the bond of blood? Just as I had lived in the Lu family for 16 years, upon Lu Yanjiao's return, I was immediately compelled to yield my place. Chu's mother beckoned me to sit, then turned to address the assembly. I presume you have all met Dai. 16 years ago, there was a grievous mix-up where Dai and Miss Lu were swapped, resulting in Dai being separated from her rightful place for 16 years. Now that the precious pearl has returned, you may once again become acquainted with the youngest daughter of the princess, the fifth miss of the Long Princess Mansion, Chu Dai. With a piercing gaze, Chu's mother issued a commanding presence, her words striking fear into the hearts of many. To those who have wronged Dai in the past, this princess hopes you will refrain from repeating such indiscretions today, or else. The intent behind Chu's mother's threat was glaringly clear. The smile at the corner of my lips could not be concealed. With such a formidable ally, how could one not feel cherished? Though somewhat unreasonable, I relished this audacity. There were those who were discontented, who seethed with indignation, yet what could they do? I caught sight of a few green-faced rivals in the crowd, and my heart swelled with satisfaction. It was not that I could not deal with them. Indeed, I could handle them. But I would also be subjected to their revulsion and the burden of mockery. With Chu's mother's warning, the banquet proceeded relatively smoothly. As Lu Yanjiao was led away by her mother, I stole a glance at their retreating figures. However, Lu Yanjia gazed at me longingly, a pitiful sight. I still harbored feelings for this younger brother, so I exchanged a few words with him. The banquet at the Long Princess Mansion concluded, and Chu's mother received invitations from several families, albeit mostly from her acquaintances. Not many, yet mother took us to several consecutive gatherings. My siblings were familiar with these elder relatives, and I too recognized them, though only as colleagues of Lu Qingxiang. Aunts and uncles, sisters and brothers from various families also knew me, but this time, the interactions felt different. Your siblings are rather busy. Will you accompany your parents today, Dai? I nodded. Over the past couple of months, I had been playing the role of the obedient daughter. Chu's mother was pleased, and I found joy in this unbounded affection. Today, we were to visit the residence of the Duke of Luoyang, which, aside from the palace, seemed to have the closest ties to the Long Princess Mansion. My elder brother mentioned that the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Luoyang, Shen Qingqing, is a close friend of Chu's mother. Their relationship extends beyond mere acquaintance. Before my maternal grandfather, the carefree king, passed away, the two became acquainted through a series of fortunate encounters. Following my grandfather's death, Shen Qingqing, noticing Chu's mother alone and solitary, often brought her back to the Duke of Luoyang's residence. The old lady of the Duke's house was also quite fond of Chu's mother. Thus, prior to marrying my father, Chu's mother spent a considerable time living and dining with Shen Qingqing at the Duke of Luoyang's residence. Later, after marrying my father, she found herself embroiled in battles and childbirth, which led to a gradual estrangement between the two families. Nonetheless, every year, whenever Chu's mother returned, she would send an invitation to the Duke's house for a reunion. Having grown up in the capital, Dai should be somewhat familiar with the situation of the Duke of Luoyang's residence, no? I nodded. And what do you think of your Aunt Qingqing? I could sense Chu's mother's apprehension, and I understood her well. In my eyes, Shen Qingqing's experiences were commonplace, yet in this era, they were deemed somewhat scandalous. I believe Aunt Qingqing dares to love and hate. She is a courageous woman. Chu's mother appeared somewhat taken aback. Do you truly think so? I nodded resolutely. Societal norms have always been unjust towards women, yet rules are rigid while individuals are alive. Women are human too. Must they forsake themselves for the sake of public opinion? I asserted that a woman embodies many roles throughout her life. First and foremost, she must be true to herself. followed by her roles as a daughter, mother, and wife. If one forgets oneself, how can one possibly fulfill the duties of a parent, child, or spouse? Chu's mother and father exchanged astonished glances. The notion that one must first be true to oneself was remarkably novel. Yet, it seemed my words held merit. If one relinquished their own identity, it would indeed be a tragic fate. In truth, Shen Qingqing's experiences were akin to the domestic violence, infidelity, and the existence of mistresses that I had witnessed in my past life. She had emasculated her husband, sold the woman to a brothel, and merely issued a divorce decree. In my previous life, Shen Qingqing would have been seen as a victim, and even if her actions were legally questionable, public sentiment would undoubtedly favor her. Yet, in this feudal era, she was branded as jealous, vicious, and relentless, having harmed her husband. A woman daring to divorce her spouse was labeled a shrew. Did my parents forget that Aunt Qingqing hailed from the Duke of Liang's residence, a noble family? The man in question was merely a pretty face. A phoenix man climbing the social ladder by virtue of the Duke's family. Why should the Duke of Liang fear him? It was he who acted unkindly first. Aunt Qingqing need not be blamed for her subsequent actions. According to my reasoning, was it not merely a matter of adhering to societal norms? Thus, Aunt Qingqing had every right to retaliate. Her ex-husband, who wooed her with sweet nothings, resorted to violence and abuse once he had won her over. He betrayed her first. Given her status and the face of the Duke of Liang, it would not be excessive to eliminate them, and sparing their lives was already a gesture of nostalgia. They used slander to suppress Aunt Qingqing, yet we could do the same. Chu's father and mother were left speechless, and finally, Chu's mother managed to utter, "Dai. What on earth did you learn in the Liu household?" I offered an awkward smile, deflecting the inquiry. How could the Liu family impart such wisdom? The Duke of Liang was a century-old aristocracy, deeply rooted in tradition. The head of the household was Shen Qingqing's brother, Shen Jinqing, and the sibling bond between them was strong. Upon our arrival, several other noble families had also gathered, including the Liu family. I had heard that Shen Qingqing of the Duke of Liang was no ordinary figure. What do you mean? Liu Yanjiao, with an insatiable curiosity, inquired, her words dripping with gossip. Miss Liu, are you not aware? Liu Yanjiao felt somewhat embarrassed, yet someone quickly alleviated her discomfort. That someone was one of my rivals.
Li Jiayi.
If you are unclear, it would suffice to repeat it. Li Jiayi then recounted the tales surrounding Shen Qingqing from the very beginning. If she had merely stated the facts, it would have been acceptable. However, Li Jiayi had a knack for embellishment. As she spoke, she belittled Shen Qingqing, uttering phrases that were downright offensive. Initially, the first to speak was Li Yiyun, the illegitimate daughter of the Qi Wangfu, the only daughter of the Qi Wang who, despite being a concubine, was greatly favored. Among the young ladies present, she was the youngest, yet held the highest status. Having heard enough, Li Yiyun reprimanded them. Liu Yanjiao was displeased, feeling as though Li Yiyun looked down upon her. What fault does Jiayi speak of? She asked. Are we not to discuss the truth? If one wishes to keep secrets, one must first refrain from wrongdoing. Women should adhere to their roles. If such unconventional behavior were to be emulated by all, would the world not descend into chaos? Li Yun looked bewildered. That was not my intention. Do not misconstrue my words. After listening for a while, I found the bickering among the young ladies rather tedious, and was about to leave when I turned and spotted the subject of the gossip, Shen Qingqing. When had she arrived? Had she overheard everything? Shen Qingqing's pale face twisted into a forced smile, quite unappealing. I heard from your mother that you were coming this way, so I came to find you. Mother wishes to meet you.
So, she had come looking for me.
I cautiously inquired. Aunt Qingqing you. Shen Qingqing's expression darkened considerably, and I understood her distress. Grasping her hand firmly, I strode directly to the front of Liu Yanjiao and her companions. Pointing at them, I commanded, apologize to Aunt Qingqing. Panic flickered across the faces of Liu Yanjiao and the others, caught off guard by their own gossip being exposed so brazenly.
Li Jiayi.
Recalling her previous remarks, turned pale. If word got out, her reputation would surely be in ruins. Li Yun was the quickest to respond. Bowing deeply to Shen Qingqing and offering a sincere apology, I nodded inwardly, appreciating the girl's upright attitude. Though she was a bit too outspoken and unable to conceal her words, this was something she could improve upon. Aunt Qingqing? Shen Qingqing's face remained grim. Yet she nodded slightly and said, "The banquet is about to begin. Let us proceed." Li Yun swiftly turned to leave. Li Jiayi was lost in her own thoughts, while Lu Yanjiao glared at me defiantly. "You are truly embarrassing," I retorted without mercy. Fortunately, the disgrace fell upon the Lu family, not the Chu family. I wondered if Lord Lu and Lady Lu would regret bringing her back upon learning of her behavior. Lu Yanjiao could hardly endure my words, yet she still attempted to play her tricks. "Lord Lu? Lady Lu? Those are the family who raised you for 16 years. Have you forgotten them so soon?" I cast a glance in her direction and replied, "Who could forget their adoptive parents more swiftly than you, Lu Yanjiao? The Lu family confirmed your identity less than an hour, and you were already in the Xiangfu, hastening to drive me away. When you coveted the identity of a noble lady, did you remember the Chu family who provided for you?" A flicker of embarrassment crossed Lu Yanjiao's face. "I thought you were fearful of a hard life and felt sympathy for you, having grown up without your biological mother. Thus, when I left the Xiangfu, I did not oppose the decision, believing that in my absence, they would compensate for their shortcomings towards you, and your family would be reunited. Study the rules diligently and gradually learn the etiquette to make up for the 16 years you missed. You could still be the esteemed daughter of the Xiangfu." Little did I expect that in less than 2 months since your return, while you have learned nothing else, you have certainly mastered the art of gossiping about others. The Xiangfu is a simple household. No one will teach you such things. If not for the dubious company you keep, this is likely inherent to your character. At the mention of dubious company, I shot a glance at Li Jiayi. She, having regained her senses, remembered our past grievances and immediately accused me. "Jiao Jiao is also the daughter raised by the residence of the eldest princess for 16 years. Do not be too excessive." Li Jiayi's words emboldened Lu Yanjiao. "Though I am an adopted daughter, I am still one of the eldest princesses. Look at her proud demeanor, reminiscent of when she returned to the Xiangfu that day." In a moment of impulse, I asked, "Do you still wish to return to the residence of the eldest princess?" "Why not?" I glanced at Lu Yanjiao, then at her parents behind her. "I cannot make that decision. Perhaps you should ask my parents, as well as yours?" Lu Yanjiao froze momentarily, stiffly turning her head to see Chu father and Chu mother, as well as Lu father and Lu mother. She parted her lips but found no words, a look of panic overtaking her. Chu father and Chu mother walked past her without a glance, heading directly towards me and Aunt Qingqing. Seeing this, a flicker of indignation flashed in Lu Yanjiao's eyes. "What is happening?" Chu mother inquired. I recounted the entire sequence of events, and Chu mother was immediately enraged.
Slap.
Chu mother stepped forward and delivered a resounding slap to Lu Yanjiao. Lu Yanjiao covered the half of her face that had been struck, staring at her in disbelief. "You hit me?" Chu mother disdainfully wiped her hands. "Today, I shall make my stance clear, Miss Lu. First, you are the one who abandoned the Chu family. They raised you for 16 years and owe you nothing. Second, upon returning to the Xiangfu, you could not tolerate Dai Dai and drove her away. As for the kindness of Lord Lu in raising you, my husband and I certainly remember, but that does not justify your disrespectful words towards Dai Dai. Third, Qingqing is my sister. In our youth, the Luyang Marquis' residence was my second home, and it remains so to this day. The Luyang Marquis' residence is a first-class marquisate and does not permit others to speak freely about it." After laying down these 3 points, Chu mother lifted her gaze to the growing crowd around us. "Since you are all so curious about the matters concerning Qingqing and Yangsheng and cannot resist gossiping, I shall lay it out plainly today. First, when Qingqing intended to marry, Yangsheng could not provide the betrothal gifts, and a contract was signed for him to become a son-in-law. Qingqing was young and was coaxed by Yangsheng to leave the house and establish a separate household. Even so, he remains a son-in-law of the Luyang Marquis' residence."
This is the contract.
Chu mother produced the contract. "Second, according to our laws, a son-in-law has no right to take concubines or keep mistresses. If discovered by the legitimate wife, the man is to be castrated and the woman is to be killed. Therefore, the fate of Yangsheng and that shameless woman is entirely justified and lawful. Third, after marriage, Yangsheng treated Qingqing with disdain, belittling her with words and even resorting to physical abuse. How dare a son-in-law lay hands on the legitimate daughter of the Luyang Marquis' residence? Even if he were killed, it would be no injustice. Yet, Qingqing, with her kind heart, chose merely to divorce him rather than take his life, showing immense mercy.
Now,
Is everyone satisfied? I scoffed, delivering a sharp kick to Li Jiai. Everyone understands the principle of keeping family matters private. Yet does that mean one can brazenly spread tales as long as they don't involve their own family? What good does such behavior do for those involved or for you who gossip? Aunt Qingqing possesses a resilient character. Had it been an ordinary woman, she might have already succumbed to despair. Is it amusing to drive someone to the brink of ruin? Li Jiai? Remember, a kind word can warm 3 winters, while harsh words can chill in June. Every word and deed of yours pertains to the rise and fall of your family. Should you act like Li Jiai, disregarding the lives of others and the well-being of the Li family, you might as well disregard my words as mere nonsense. I spared no effort in chastising Li Jiai, effectively placing the Li family upon the pyre of scrutiny. In the aftermath of today's events, both the Luyang Marquis' residence and the residence of the eldest princess would not spare any reprisal against the Li family, serving as a warning to Li Jiai. Even if the Li family harbored grievances, they could do nothing about it. As for Lu Yanjiao, I trusted that with Lord Lu and Lu Yanjia present, and even with Lady Lu's affection for her, they would not allow the daughter of the Lu family to go astray. Moreover, there was an elderly lady residing in the Buddhist hall. The Lu household would have to maintain a semblance of decorum for a while. Life in the princess's residence was pleasant and passed swiftly. Time flew, and before long, autumn was approaching. The relationship between the Lu family and me remained relatively amicable, thanks to Lu Yanjia's presence. Each month, Lu Yanjia would visit to seek my counsel on various matters, both academic and business-related. As time went on, Chu mother began to realize that not all children from the Lu family were like Lu Yanjia. Additionally, with Lu Yanjia's frequent visits, my own affairs gradually came to light. Is Tianxiang Pavilion truly yours? Fourth brother Chu Qiong regarded me skeptically. Tianxiang Pavilion was renowned for its fragrances, offering an array of perfumes, scented balms, and sachets. Its branches were spread throughout the entire Li kingdom. The Fourth Brothers Sihai Merchant Association had once attempted to acquire Tianxiang Pavilion, but due to the elusive nature of its master, they had been unable to succeed. In truth, I was involved in various businesses beyond just Tianxiang Pavilion, spanning all aspects of daily life. While I could not rival the Sihai Merchant Association, my endeavors were not to be underestimated. Initially, my aim was simply to earn enough to sustain myself after leaving the Xiongfu. However, upon returning to the Chu family, I found a sense of belonging. Fourth brother, do you want Tianxiang Pavilion? Chu Qiong scratched his head. I used to want it, but now that I know you are the owner, I no longer desire it. After all, we are family. I smiled and produced a stack of papers, sliding them across the table towards Chu Qiong. This is half of the profits from all my enterprises. I am now applying to join your merchant association. What do you think? Chu Qiong stared blankly. All of this is for me? Wait, that is not right. Shouldn't I be the one giving you benefits? I grinned mischievously. Of course, the shops will need management, and I will leave that to you in the future. And what about you? Chu Qiong looked somewhat bewildered. I reclined in the vine-woven hammock crafted by my father, squinting my phoenix-like eyes, reminiscent of my mother, to shield myself from the blazing sunlight. As for me, I was merely a third wheel. Outside the city of Lingqing, I clutched my bundle while scrambling onto the exclusive carriage of my parents. My elder sister, clad in the armor of a general and brandishing a sword at her waist, stood behind me, exuding an air of authority and wearing an expression of utter disbelief. On the yoke, my mother cast a hesitant glance in my direction before shifting her gaze to my father. Yuan Ge, perhaps we should take Dai Dai along? My father's countenance was as cold as ice, enough to send shivers down anyone else's spine. But who am I?
Kudai.
I fear him not. In the presence of his daughter, he is but a paper tiger. Take me. I can sing and dance, perform for you both, and am proficient in cooking and laundry. I'm indispensable. After a year dwelling in the princess's residence, my parents were once again poised to embark on their world-traveling escapade. Such an exquisite opportunity to escape the confines of the capital and explore the wider world. How could I possibly let it slip away? My father, intent on enjoying a romantic getaway with my mother, had no inkling of my tenacity. Did he think that his secret departure would go unnoticed? I resorted to charming my elder sister, persuading her to commandeer a warhorse from the army and pursue our parents through the night. Thus, this scene unfolded. I clambered up the yoke, attempting to charm my father, who had long since developed immunity to my antics. I then shifted my focus and adopted a different tactic. I've been away from my mother for 16 years, and now that I've returned for a mere year, are you truly going to abandon your daughter? I sobbed, my tears flowing freely, resembling a rain-drenched pear blossom. My mother felt a profound sense of guilt over this, and I wielded it like a weapon. Seeing me in such a pitiful state, she was unable to bear it any longer and consented to take me along. In a moment of defiance, I cast a provocative glance at my father, whose gaze could have slain me on the spot. The next instant, he forced a smile that did not reach his eyes and uttered, "Very well, we shall bring you back to the Chu family. You've reached an age where you have yet to return." My heart sank, sensing the impending doom. Yet before I could react, my father rendered me unconscious and unceremoniously deposited me into the rear carriage. At that moment, no one dared to contradict my father, and even my mother fell silent. The carriage set forth, basking in the morning sun. And thus, my new life began, akin to the dawn breaking on the horizon, fresh, radiant, and brimming with vitality.
The end.
Thank you for listening. I look forward to our next story.